Over here. Hey. Hey. You're, Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's me. Yep. That is that's a tall mountain, ain't it? Yeah. Ready to scale it? uh, could be easier than you think, but it's probably gonna be a lot harder. Oh, what'd you bring? Let me see. Snacks, that rope, chalk. Good, good, good. You're gonna want chalk for this. Let's see. Okay. Looks pretty good. You think you got enough food for yourself? If not, you see that guy down there? Yeah, that's Gary. If you ever need like anything, he always has a few extra snacks or something for teens like us. Yeah, he runs this whole thing that like tries to help teens cross the border because, well, we live in Petria, so yeah. All right, guess we start walking. Yeah, for a while it is just a hike until we get to some actual ledges we'll need to scale. So, get ready for the easy part. So, am I gonna be talking to a brick wall this whole time, or are you gonna ever, like, respond? I mean, like, we're gonna be traveling for a solid few days together, if we make it. So, conversation's gonna have to be had. I'm just saying. Yeah. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, there's a lot on my mind, too. I mean, Petria sucks right now. But there's no doubting that, but we are still leaving behind a lot. Yeah. I'll take one last look at it. Well, it won't be the last look, because there will be a better view when we get to that peak, but, you know. Yeah, I'll miss a lot of things. I also won't miss a lot of other things, like the desert. Yeah, Petri is kind of like, what, 80% desert? Yeah, it kind of sucks. God, it gets hot. Oh, God. And, oh, man, the sand. The sand that gets in between your toes. Jesus. That is disgusting. And just when you thought you got it all, like, out of your shoes, you still find, like, four more grains just, like, grinding against your big toe. It sucks. God. We have to deal with that basically every day. Oh, it sucks. So, weary traveler, where are you coming from? Come on. We're leaving, basically, so there's no point not telling me. Holy hell, really? Jesus, from here that's like a solid 1,800 miles. Christ. You traveled all that way? How'd you get here? Dang. Yeah, I hitchhiked a few times too. Met some, interesting characters, we'll say. Yeah. I also used, Happy Taxi. You ever heard of Happy Taxi? Ooh, boy. It is, well, okay, the surface itself is fine, but, there's this one guy that I kept running into somehow whenever I used Happy Taxi. His name was, like, Jared or something. He was creepy as hell. I don't know if it was just his demeanor or just the way he went about talking about things, but he gave me some. bad vibes. And, like, okay, I'm not saying that this is the reason I found him creepy or evil, right? But it kind of enhanced his creep factor. He had, like, a lazy eye. And, like, you know, nothing against people with lazy eyes. Like, you know, that must suck. Just, like, looking at someone and then, like, them thinking you're looking at something else when your other eye's just kind of, like, looking away. But, like, it just added to his whole, like, feeling, you know? And, like, ugh, just, like, the way he talked, too. Like, I don't even know how to describe it. It was just, like, real slow and, like he was... I genuinely don't know how to describe it. Oh, it was so uncomfortable. I was in that car for, like, a solid 2 hours. I was just quiet and just looked out the window. But then he rolled down the little, like, glass pane separating us, and he started sparking up some conversation. That was uncomfy. That was very uncomfy. God, he asked me about the Black Brigades. Oh, yeah. And I had no idea what to say. Because I was like, I don't know this man's political beliefs. And I feel like if I say the wrong thing, he's going to want to kill me. So I just pleaded his innocence, and I was just like, who? And, hey, it worked. He responded with a, so I got off the hook, I guess. Yeah. I didn't use that taxi many times after that. I had to a few times, though. So, luckily I did get a few other people, but I did run into him one other time, and that was another long and, especially silent car ride. Yeah. What about you? Meet any interesting characters along the way? Oh, no way. Really? You came across Sonia? Sonia, the news lady. The face of, like, Tarlok's whole regime thing. Sonia. Seriously. No way. No. There's no way. That accent she puts on TV is just fake. Seriously? What's her normal accent? No. She's a country bumpkin? Oh, you're kidding. Really, the thickest southern accent? No, there's no way. Seriously? That is hilarious. That's so funny. That's genuinely so funny. Oh my god. Because she seems so, like, prim and proper talking about, like, you know, whatever she does on her little news channel. You know, the missing teens or whatever. You know, for all we know, she could be talking about us. But, like, under all that, there's really just a super thick southern accent. Seriously? That's hilarious. That's so funny. You never would have expected it. She hides it well. I'll give her that. She hides it well. But, like, God, that's so funny. Oh, God. What'd y'all talk about? Really? She took you up in her limo? Just out of the blue? Huh. Interesting. I would have thought she would have, like, you know, not really been for the whole, like, teens crossing the border thing. Oh, yeah. You kept it on the down low. Yeah, that makes sense. She is kind of the one that reports on the missing teens, so figured she'd be, like, kind of against the whole, like, hopping the border thing, so... That is weird. That is so weird. Is she as much of a diva as she seems? I knew it. I freaking knew it. There was no way she didn't suck IRL. I knew it. There was no way. I just knew it. There was no freaking way. Yeah, she's a character. Alright, she's a character. Ooh, I just remembered. I came across this kid named Alex. He was like solid 14, 15-ish, but like a freaking technical whiz. Like, it was insane how smart this kid was. Yeah, like, we got in a car and he was actually driving, which was interesting. I think he stole someone's car, which, you know, it's kind of just a thing that happens around here, so it didn't surprise me much, but he was kind enough to give me a ride, and I got in the car seat while he was like fiddling with something, and we got to talking about all that, and he was making like a video game. Yeah, like a whole freaking thing, and like I got to like test ride it a little bit. It was like with tanks or whatever, and like we were moving around this little board. There were opposing tanks, and like he was like, is there anything you think could like add to this experience? And I was like, what if what if the opposing tanks like moved a little faster? And he like while I said that, programmed it and made it happen. Like after I finished my sentence, he coded it so that it would happen. Yeah, it blew my mind how fast he did that. I was like, huh? How did you do that? Wait a minute. What? It blew me away. The kid was so smart. He had like this whole setup too. He had like monitors, various keyboards, a bunch of like tech with him. It was super interesting. Yeah. Also, like something interesting. Like I'm pretty sure his mom's a cop. Yeah, we got to talking about his mom a little bit, and yeah, he ran away from home, which like it's pretty common nowadays. So, and he was talking about like how his mom like is kind of against like the whole. She's for Tarlock essentially, and apparently she thinks that the pits, quote unquote, don't exist, or the kids aren't sent to the pits. I know. I was like, how ignorant do you have to be to ignore the pits? Like, Jesus, there's that it legit made me mad. It made me so I was pissed, straight up. And I mean, like she wasn't even in the car, and I still got ticked off. But like it was just like. But I was like, yeah, I understand why you ran, dude. Like that's ridiculous. Apparently, like, well, okay, so the police officer, allegedly, it's from his description, she sounded like a police officer. She was his adopted mom, and his parents, apparently, like, they were around, like, he apparently lost them, right? And yeah, so he's been looking for them and trying to figure out like who his parents are. Yeah, it was sad. He was pretty dedicated to all that, but yeah. He said something about like he thought they might have been around the peak collapse. Oh yeah, and I was just like, ooh, if you were around that when that happened, you either got real hurt or you were blamed for it. So it was yeah, it was a whole freaking thing. Yeah, the freaking peak collapse. Yeah, I was like, God, I was like 9-ish, around that. No, I can't remember how old was I. I don't know, but I was alive, and I vaguely remember just like everyone freaking the hell out over it. Oh yeah, it was a huge talking point. Yeah, a lot of people died that day, and everyone says the Black Brigades did it. The Black Brigades did it, and like they can be aggressive, yeah. But I've actually okay. What's your view of the Black Brigades, right? Yeah. They seem they have a good cause, but they could be like they seem to be a little extreme in a few places. So but I talked to a Black Brigade once. Yeah, I did. He was actually like pretty chill, all things considered, as long as we weren't talking about like revolution and all that. But yeah, he seemed like he didn't seem particularly deplorable. So yeah. I got mistaken as a Black Brigade once. Yeah. I was just like in a diner when like, a bust went down and a bunch of Black Brigades like got captured, and they took me out and questioned me. And were like, "Do you know anything about these people?" And I was like, "No." Like they just kept pestering me. I was legit scared because you could totally get thrown in the pits for something like that. I was petrified, but like I was lucky enough for them to be far enough away from them in the diner. The diner had a bar, but I was lucky enough to be far away from them. So much so that the cops they just figured I didn't really have anything to do with them. You know, I was just kind of sitting by myself eating a burger. So yeah, it was a good burger too. Yeah, it was good. That cheese. Ooh. If I could eat that burger again, I would. Yeah, you'll come across some interesting characters trying to get up here, but you know, I mean, honestly, like the journey here was probably pretty hard for you, wasn't it? Yeah, like what, 1,800 miles? That's so much ground to cover. Yeah, I was a fair bit closer. At least I started a fair bit closer. I still had to travel a solid, I want to say, um, like 1,000-ish miles, maybe something like that. Yeah, it was still quite a ways away, but like, you know, not quite as far as you were. Yeah. Part of me doesn't want to leave, you know, because I am leaving behind a lot of stuff, like my parents and the few friends I have here. I got memories here, you know. I spent all my life in this country, but at this point, like, I just don't feel safe here, and, you know, I want to enjoy my youth, at least whatever youth I have left, right? And I just don't think I can do that here. So, you know, I mean, that's part of the reason that I'm up here. What about you? What can I say? That's fair. That's fair, I'm sure. A lot of crap is probably motivating you to get up here, so it's understandable that you wouldn't quite get to that point. You want to know something crazy? Okay, so another part of the reason that I'm up here is my parents, super Tarlock sympathizers. Oh yeah, not only that, but they were like in his inner circle. No, I am not kidding. I am not kidding. Like, they freaking lived in the White Sands. Yeah, I'm not kidding. in Tarlock's freaking inner circle, the White Sands. Yeah, I lived there for a while too. Yeah, they were very politically driven. You know, like, Tarlock is our savior, Tarlock, blah 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 blah. Yeah. It's kind of hard to like your folks when they kind of support someone who's, you know, like him or not, he's done some shady crap. Yeah, that's kind of hard to deny, but, you know, they always say the ends sacrifice the means, so, you know. And it kind of makes you feel bad because, like, I'm a teenager, and they support Tarlock, meaning they inadvertently kind of support the pits, which is, you know, where most teenagers end up when they're trying to go where we're going, so, I don't know, it kind of hurt, you know, it kind of felt like they weren't really thinking about my future, but I don't blame them. I mean, yeah, they got pretty cushy lives up there, so, yeah, it's interesting, because, you know Colton City? Yeah, the capital. It's very interesting because, you know, it's the capital of Petria, right? A lot of people there really hate Tarlock. Like, really, really hate him. And, like, if the capital of your country straight up hates the frickin' person leading it, then, like, what the frick's going on? Am I right? Like, you know. I try to be apolitical in all this. But, like, Tarlock makes it hard, you know. He does some things, and, you know. I don't even know if the other candidate, God, what's her name? Flores, right. Yeah, I don't even know if Flores is going to be the quote-unquote savior of the country, but, you know. I do hope she wins, because even if she may not be better than Tarlock, it would be good to give her a try, I think. Yeah, I don't know. But if she loses, that's 10 more years of Tarlock. That's so stupid. Why why do the elections happen every 10 years? That is ridiculous to me. A decade? If we get a bad leader, we're stuck with them for a decade. That is insane to me. Like 4 years, that would be way more reasonable. 2, I think, is good too. But like 10? That is insane. God. Yeah, you know. Yeah, I don't know about the whole rumor about Tarlock changing up the votes, manipulating them, and all that. I mean, he's got a lot of supporters. He does, but I wouldn't put it past him. He does some shady crap. Yeah, I do want change out of this place. And I don't know, maybe Flores is the person to put change into it, but it's hard to say. He really is. Because, like, you know, even if she is, like, it'll take a long, long time to fix everything in Petria. A really long time. Like, I'm talking so long that she'll have to win another election to keep it going. And, like, you know, if you don't prove that you've been making progress by the time of another election, which, honestly, with how screwed up everything is, she may not. Like, she might lose and just lose all that progress. And then, who knows, maybe someone even worse than Tarlock would step in. Who knows? Yeah. You know, Tarlock is responsible for a lot of crap that's going on in Petria, but to me, a lot of the blame goes to the people, right? Because extremism is just so widespread nowadays, you know what I mean? Like, everyone is so on polar opposites. And, you know, when your mind is set on something, like, you believe that you are correct about this thing, and you believe that you know the correct thing about whatever, politics, or even religion, or whatever. Like, your mind becomes so staunch, and you refuse to listen to people with a different perspective, and that, I think, has just led to so much more anarchy and just so much more polarization and hate in between groups, you know? Because say, like, you support Flores, right? And you're trying to have a conversation with someone who supports Tarlock, you immediately deem them as, oh, this person is evil because they support Tarlock. This person hates teens because they support Tarlock. You imply all of these stereotypes to them. And even if they make a salient point, even if they make a really, really good point, it's just going to be lost to you because you're so fixated on what, you know, you believe and what you feel, you know? It drives me nuts. Because, like, that's why I try to stay apolitical, even though it's legit hard, but I try because I like hearing perspectives. Like, you know, I've talked to a lot of Tarlock sympathizers, obviously, because, you know, I come from White Sands, so. And in that place, everyone's a Tarlock sympathizer. And, like, you know, there's some good people there. They're not all evil. You know, they're not all evil people who want, you know, teens to be thrown in the pits for trying to escape this place. Or, you know, some of them even support teens trying to leave. They're like, yeah, get a better life if you can't make a good living here. But I'm still gonna support Tarlock. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's your prerogative, sure. It's, extremism is just driving me nuts. Like, everyone's in their own little echo chamber, and it just enhances everything they feel and everything they think, and it just drives me nuts how, like, you know, how extreme everyone is, and no one is willing to listen to another perspective. And that just segments us even further. And I just feel like, if we all just took a step back, just kind of turned it off, and listened to the other side without them, being super, you know, fired up so that emotion isn't a factor. If they legit just lay out their points, I feel like we come to so many more compromises. But so few people are willing to take like other perspectives. Yeah, it drives me nuts. Like God, why is that so hard for people? There's so many people in these little groups. But like, even if you're for Flores, like you still can be just such a dingwad about it, right? I know that's an interesting word, but I use it. But like, you can be so anal about it, and like you just lose all meaning and point if you're so extreme about it, like screaming in the face of people that I'm right, what is wrong with you? You don't understand that I'm right, what the hell is wrong with you? And it just, you don't get your point across. You just seem like what the other side sees you as, and what the other side is describing the extremists of your side to be. People who are insane, essentially, and just scream their opinions at you. You're not helping your case. I know it's really easy to get into the emotions and get bogged down by all of it, but like take a breath and make a salient point once in a while. But like, God, because like Sonia, well, she'll have like people on her talk show, right? And she'll find like really extremist like Flores supporters, intentionally so she can poke fun at them and make them seem insane, right? Make them seem like these people really believe what they believe. These people, are you kidding me? And it drives me nuts because like at least start a dialogue if you're gonna do something like that. That is despicable. That it legit makes me so mad because what you're doing is you're enhancing the extremists of your group to believe that, oh, everyone on the opposing side of my opinion is just like that. They're insane. They're crazy. They're fixated on this idea that makes no sense and can just be picked apart, one by one. And that's not true. You just refuse to give perspective to something. And stuff like that makes it just so easy to fall into like these echo chambers. And just it drives me so nuts. Because, like, yeah, I fall a bit more on the liberal side, sure. But, like, God, even, like, some liberals are ridiculous. Like, calm down. There's no need to be that extreme about it. Like, the most impactful movements for things are things that have been done slowly and peacefully and, there's no, like, there's so much talk of like overthrowing Tarlock and all that. And well, yeah, I do think that would promote change. Like, it would cost so many lives to start a revolution like that. You know, it would be so chaotic and so like so many people would die. And like, I'm worried because like my folks are Tarlock supporters, so they'd be targeted. They'd be like, stop this revolution, and they might get shot. And I don't want that. I love my folks. They believe some crazy things, but I love them. And like, I don't know if revolution's the right way to go. Like, it'll instigate a hell of a lot of change really quickly, but at what cost, right? Lives. And like, after they like, if they successfully like take out Tarlock, the country's just gonna be in chaos for a while. There's gonna be no leader, It's just gonna be like kind of floating in this ambiguous spot for a while. No one's really gonna know what to do. It's just like, what happened to patience, right? Like, I get wanting movements to take place very quickly and not really wanting to spend time over all this, but like this stuff takes time, Change for people who are so used to ways that have been present for dozens of years it's gonna take a while for them to change, you know? And, like, if the group that's trying to instigate change just, like, takes a few steps back and really takes some deep breaths in and talks about their points calmly as a whole, then, you know, it would take so much wind out of the opposing party's sails. They'd be like, crap, these guys are very well spoken. They talk about this stuff very maturely. And, you know, it would make for so much more of an impact. But instead, like, you know, there's people burning the Petria flag, you know? And there's people like, this country is forsaken, this country is ridiculous. And, like, I get where they're coming from, but Jesus, dude, do you want this place to change, or do you want people to see you as a maniac? It's just like, God, like, they have a good goal in mind. They have good reason for what they're doing, but like, what they're doing is just missing the point. Sorry, I went on a bit of a rant there. It's been driving me crazy for a while. It really has. Yeah. I do think this place is capable of change, though. I do. I'm just scared of how it's gonna come to be, you know? Yeah, like, there's a lot of talk of revolution. Like, a lot of talk. And I don't really want to be around for that. Because, you know, not only are my parents in danger, which scares the hell out of me, but I kind of am too. Because a lot of people kind of know about the families that live in White Sands. So a lot of people will kind of know about me and know that, oh, this kid is the son of these people who support Tarlock. So inadvertently, he must support Tarlock, so he's gotta go. And you might think, no, people won't think that. You know, I'm just a kid, quote unquote. I mean, I'm pretty close to being an adult. I am an adult at this point, but not, you know. I'm an adult, but people still look at me as a kid because I'm young, so whatever. But, like, people still will, like, you would think that, no, he's a kid, he's still able to be shaped. No, they wouldn't. Because, like, I've seen, like, okay. I used to have a neighbor in White Sands, right? His name was Tommy, and one time his parents, like, went to a rally for Tarlock, right? And there were some Flores supporters. And, you know, he went with his parents, and, like, the Flores supporters, like, a brawl just broke out, and, like, you know, his parents, like, they were pretty extreme, like my parents. So they, like, got in there and started, like, wailing on some Flores supporters. And then there was, like, this big burly guy who was a Flores supporter, and, like, they were killed. And he just had to watch his parents be beat to death. And he was just paralyzed for a while. And because his parents took him to a Tarlock rally, and he had a Tarlock pin on him, so the Flores supporters, they saw him with that pin, and they killed him too. He was 14. He was 14. So I think I have a right to be scared to hell about all this. Because, God, he was such a sweet kid, too. So nice. Not at all what people think Tarlock supporters are. He was the exact opposite, but the people who killed him didn't know. They didn't care. They just saw a Tarlock pin on him and just assumed. So they killed him. They assumed everything about his personality, who he was, who he stood for. He was 14. 14. And God, he never got a chance at life because people condemned him just to being a stereotypical Tarlock supporter. That still bothers me to this day, because, like, He had so many aspirations. He was an artist, right? He drew these beautiful murals of. He was like a landscapist, and he drew these incredible murals of the open ranges of Petria, and like just looking at his murals made me appreciate Petria, appreciate like what beauty does lie in it, even though it's mostly a desert. But now he's just gone. It's just like so much extremism is being brewed by all this, and even if Flores wins, I'm still scared of what's gonna take place. Because again, my family supports Tarlock. So what the hell's gonna happen to me? Am I gonna be deemed as a demon? Like so many of us are, and just hunted down? Or will I be afforded mercy that my neighbor wasn't? And if so, why? Why would I be afforded mercy when he wasn't? He was so much younger than me. And they still killed him. They took his life from him. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bring down the mood. It's just... Yeah, We've, we've been hiking for a while, and, the sun's about down, so... I say it's about time we set up camp. Yeah. So, you brought a tent, right? Okay, good. Yeah, because I brought a tent, and I'm sure as hell not sharing mine with you. I respect my personal space when I sleep, so... What have you got for dinner? Okay, okay. I got some granola bars and, beef jerky. That's all I'd really be willing to dig in for, because I want to save a lot of this, so... Yeah. By the way, how much money did you bring with you? Because, we're planning on starting whole new lives when we cross the border, and... that's kind of expensive, so how much were you able to scrounge together? Okay, okay. Yeah, I've just got $400. Yeah, it's not much, but that's all I got. So, yeah, I don't know. When will you make over the border? I don't know. I think I don't know. I'll probably try to make some friends and couch hop a little bit. Because this is not enough for an apartment. Not even for like a month. So, I'll probably have to find a job over there or something. Yeah, I don't really know what waits for us, but... There is a part of me that does love Petria. It's not as much of a hellhole as many people try to make it out to be, but... I mean, it's got hell a lot of problems, and... Whatever fate befalls this place... I don't think I'm gonna be around to find out. Because... If Tarlock wins, then... Christ no, I'm not spending another minute here. If Flores wins, then I could be at risk, because there's so many extremists of hers that are gonna try to hunt down people like me, just for being related to people who support Tarlock indefinitely. And if a revolution breaks out, then Jesus Christ, I don't want to be around for that. I really don't want to leave. I really wish we didn't have to. But I feel like we need to. I don't know your story and what's going on with you, what brought you here, but just everything that went on, everything my parents said, and what happened to my brother, and oh, my brother. Yeah, that's that's a story for another time. Yeah, I don't want to talk about that yet. Just know he's gone. He's gone and he's never coming back. I'm sorry. I made things awkward again, didn't I? Yeah, I probably did. It's all screwed up, you know? Like, why? If I was just born, if I was the child of, like, some Flores supporters, or I was just, like, if I was born in any other situation than I was, then I'd be fine. Like, I would stick around and, like, try to rally for Flores, but I mean, like, even if I don't fully believe in some of the things she says, like, I'd advocate for some change because God knows we need it, but I'm scared. Like, maybe I'd be fine. And hell, maybe my parents would be too, but I just don't believe there's much of a chance of that. How screwed up is this place that teens like us legitimately feel like we have to cross the border in order to not end up in the pits? Jesus Christ. I mean, hey, from this view, Petria doesn't seem that bad, right? Yeah, it almost seems peaceful. In this way, you don't see all the violence that's taking place down there, yeah. Whatever the Black Brigades are up to, whatever Tyrak's got his followers doing. From here, it's just a pretty landscape. From here, it doesn't seem like hell is taking place down there. I really feel like that this place is just destined to continuously be in this cycle of torment, and I don't want to believe that. I don't like being a pessimist, but when there's no other options, I mean, what can you do? But maybe over that border, something's waiting for us. I hear there are a few people that wait on the other side for teens that escape, and there's a place that they go. Like, I don't know. I think it's like a church or something. I don't know much. Yeah. But before we find out, there's a whole mountain to scale. Yeah, I used to free solo a lot as a kid. Free soloing is essentially climbing up rock walls and sometimes mountains without any gear. Yeah, it's pretty extreme. Um, yeah, I've gotten really good at it. My grip strength is pretty insane. Like I could hang from one hand for a solid 30 minutes. I'm not kidding. I mean, you kind of need that to scale some of these walls. Yeah, not too long ago. Well, a few years ago, so feels like a while. It doesn't feel like that long ago, but it was. I was like 16, 15, and I tried to run away once. This very same path. I tried to scale the mountain by myself, and I couldn't. There was just a part that we're gonna get to eventually that I just couldn't get over. I was too young, and I was really skinny back then too, so I didn't have much strength in these old bones. So I gave up and went home. I got an earful from my parents after that. After the days of being gone. I didn't tell them where I went. I couldn't bring myself to it, so I just kind of hung my head as they ate me out. And they just don't. They just didn't get it, you know? They're like, we gave you all of this. We worked hard to be in this inner circle, you know, to be in, White Sands, to be safe, to be. And you're spitting in the face of all that. It's like, I didn't ask to be here. I'm not happy being here. I don't feel safe. It's just. From then on, I started free soloing. Not immediately. Like, once I turned 17, I started free soloing a lot. So, yeah. Yeah, it gives you hell calluses. You gotta have some tough hands to climb up here. That's kind of why I brought some bandages, because falling is a pretty easy thing to happen while you're scaling this kind of thing. And B, I know that my calluses might blister and bust open, but you've never really done much of this, have you? Yeah, that hand is gonna bleed. Oh yeah, it's gonna be rough. I'm not kidding. It's gonna be rough. But I think it'll be worth it. I don't know what waits for us, but I'm willing to bet it's better than whatever waits for us back home. So I bared my heart and soul. Can I hear about your backstory now? Alright, fair enough. That's it in the morning discussion. Yeah, sounds about right. I don't blame you. I know a lot of people aren't as open as I am. Well, okay, that sounded a bit pompous. I'm sorry. I meant, like, I bare my soul a lot. Yeah. I have a hard time keeping a lot of what I say and do in. I wear my heart on my sleeves, and that has its benefits. It also has a lot of downsides. Like people who will hurt you. You give them the tools to do so very quickly. Yeah, I've been hurt. We all have in this place, but not just from the politics area of all this. From people, you know, mean people who took advantage of me and used me for things. And then there's the times that I've gotten hurt without, you know. I didn't mean to, but it still happened. I miss her. Yeah, wow. That was, I didn't mean to, like, I know that just brought up a lot of questions, like, who's her? But, yeah, that's also something I do not want to get into yet. So, yeah. Again, story for another time. Well, it's getting a bit late. So, tuck in, I'd say. We're gonna need a lot of rest for tomorrow. Yeah, I know all that hiking is probably making you a bit tired, but there are a lot of things ahead of us. As this mountain gets pretty sheer, and there's a lot of walls we're gonna have to scale with drops below us. So, yeah, stow those fears. You have to be careful. All right. Anything you need? I got some extra water if you feel a little parched and you don't want to tap into your supply. No? Alright. Well, I guess this is good night. See you in the morning, partner.